Hey guys, this arrived just yesterday. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, Volume 11, the final volume. It's the end of an era. The very first iPhone manga review I did for this channel. The last review I did for Volume 10, I basically said Mario could come in and bonk Ganondorf on the head with a hammer, and it would still be one of the greatest manga I'd ever read. That didn't happen. So they did stick the landing. This wasn't my favorite volume, actually, but it's the last volume of an excellent series, so I feel like it's time to kind of like look back on the whole series. This is basically a 300-page long sword fight with Ganon, which is totally okay because we've been waiting 10 volumes to see the sword fight with Ganon, and that's what it all comes down to. But I did highlight some things I thought might be worth talking about. So the quick overarching thought I wanted to have that I thought about while reading is this kind of breaks a Hollywood rule in a really cool way. So there's this sort of Hollywood screenwriter rule where you don't want the hero to solve his moral problem until the climax. So it's sort of like he confronts his inner demon and he stops the bad guy all in the last 10 minutes of the movie, basically. What's kind of interesting about this is Link's major moral crisis came around volume 6, which means we spent the first 6 volumes basically watching this poor guy get his butt kicked, and just when you thought he was finally starting to catch a break, then he makes his critical moral mistake and collapses into utter failure, nearly dead because of his own incompetence. And then, almost precisely halfway into the series, he gets his act together, and from that point on, he's basically on a mission to kill Ganondorf, right? So it's interesting that we spent that long with him at the bottom. Midway through the story, he has his moral crisis, and then we spend the last half of the story watching him sort of rise in an explosion from that low point in his life. So let's flip through it, and I guess the other overarching theme is Akira Himekawa understand this character. They understand the appeal of this franchise, and they do inventive things that just kind of like made me stop and think, yeah, that is what happened in the game. But I never thought about it that way. It's like they come up with interesting explanations for why the game is the real answer for why the game is the way it is. Nintendo thought it would be cool, but they actually find cool narrative ideas in the game. So, where last we left off, Link transformed into a wolf and ripped the still beating heart out of the monstrous Ganon and was left as like a feral raging wolf. So Midna, his companion, kind of like offers him her hand and sort of wakes him up. So there are a couple cool things about this. Obviously, you've got like the feminine, loving influence being gently, touching the monstrous man and awakening him and reminding him that he's a human being, right? But the other cool aspect of this is that Midna is basically not directly responsible, but Link turned into a wolf because he entered the Twilight realm, which is her realm. But she's kind of been responsible for using Link as a wolf this whole time. So it's sort of like she's at least indirectly responsible for him becoming a monster, and now she's the one who heals him and takes that curse away from him, so he can become a man again. He had to become a monster to defeat the monster, but now he needs to become the good person he always was. There's a neat little I like how when they write dialogue for these characters, they try to underscore and build on things they've been building up. So when Link finally meets Zelda, he's completely covered in blood and guts, and he feels a bit ashamed of himself to be in this state. So he doesn't want to look up and look her in the eyes because his face is dirty. And Zelda graciously tells him, well, that befits someone who's a warrior, right? So he's a shame-motivated hero who is sort of being forgiven, and his heroism is being acknowledged, even though he's kind of had to get down and into the dirt and the blood and guts to fight this fight. Midna decides that she has to make this heroic sacrifice and fight Ganondorf alone, and that doesn't really work out. Here's another thing they added. So Ilya spends a good chunk of the game with amnesia and traumatized by being kidnapped, and they gave her an arc where she starts to heal and kind of like emotionally cope with her traumatic experience. And then she's the one who finds Epona and realizes that Link is going to need Epona. So they give Ilya a moment to not just kind of like heal and overcome her trauma, but then rise to the occasion and do something necessary that will contribute to Link winning. They do a really good job of juggling a lot of characters to make them all feel important. When Ganondorf shows up and reveals that he knocked Midna down for the count, he sort of cavalierly throws away her helmet and charges. And I like this panel sequence where we get this really tight angle of the helmet on the ground, kind of underscoring that, oh no, is Midna dead? And just the horse hooves rushing forward. So just a tiny little sliver of information to convey the idea, gigantic horse rushing forward with force plus pregnant emotional scene. I tweeted that one out. So let me say something about the video game real quick. So something, I guess, maybe a little formulaic about the Zelda games is at least Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess are basically all remixes of Ocarina of Time. Like Zelda always will fight with the light arrows. Link's always going to fight like a beast version of Ganon. So Nintendo is basically remixing the same ideas and sort of repatterning them over and over again. So in Ocarina of Time, you fight human Ganondorf, and then he transforms into a giant pig monster, and you fight giant pig monster Ganon. In Twilight Princess, Nintendo got really risky, and they had you fight giant pig monster Ganon, and then he transforms into regular Ganondorf. So it's just the opposite of Ocarina of Time, but Akira and Himekawa do this really cool thing where they try to explain why this is happening and why it's going in that order, and then build an idea off of that. So I'm assuming the reason he's not beast form Ganon anymore is because Link as the wolf basically effectively took him out in that form, so he had to revert back to human form. Let's talk about this a bit. So Link kind of graciously offers Zelda like a ride on his steed so she can help him take out Ganondorf, and he's sort of reflecting on his journey and his relationship with Zelda. And it's not sexual, it's not romantic. I think a lot of people, there are certain games where they play up the boyfriend-girlfriend angle for Link and Zelda, but Twilight Princess isn't one of them. So what this inner monologue emphasizes is if Link isn't interested in marrying Zelda, what's his interest in Zelda? And what Zelda symbolically represents is she symbolically represents the future and the health of her country, of Hyrule itself. If you think about it, a princess literally has to give birth to the next king of the kingdom, right? So there's a pregnant sense in which a princess represents the nation itself. So, he could love the princess and want to marry the princess, but there's a reason bigger than Zelda and bigger than Link themselves for why they have to do this. It's not just them, it's the entire country. So I thought that was kind of cool. They're finding a reason why Zelda is important other than being a romantic interest. Of course, she fights with the arrows of light. Maybe something, I'm going to do the Jordan Peterson thing. So Link's a direct guy. He fights with a sword and a shield. He's a blunt force trauma kind of guy. Zelda, her attribute is wisdom. So she's using a skilled weapon. She's using something that brings light. She's using something that requires cutting, precision, and accuracy. Strength and courage to risk oneself. Wisdom and skill to strike with precision. Her wisdom is like arrows of truth, right? So they charge at him and fire the arrows, and we'll get into it. There's something cool with the arrows later. So one of the subplots is that Ganondorf, Akira Himekawa have basically given him a Nietzschean will to power. He believes that if he has the power to become a god, then it is right for him to become a god. There is no good and evil, and he finds things like sentimental attachments, friendship, love. He finds these things to be weaknesses, sins that hold back a powerful man. So what's Link's declaration to that? So Ganondorf makes the megalomaniacal speech, and Link is a very simple man. You're threatening the people I love. I can't let you live. I don't need a philosophical answer to your Nietzscheanism. You're bad. I'm going to stop you. And we'll see this built more later. Link is a simple kind of good man. Another cool thing they do is they give the hero of time a swan song. So in the game, he sort of shows up as a mysterious figure who teaches you techniques. They've built this idea that this character is like a father figure to the hero. He doesn't just teach him cool techniques. He gives him guidance on what it means to be a man. And so letting him come back for a swan song is it's a nice bit of fan service for people who know this character, because this is literally a character we've seen before, and it ties in well with their subplot of the hero of time as a father figure to Link. When he arrives, he announces that he dares Ganondorf to use his magic because the light arrows severed his magic. And I thought, aha, that makes sense. So why isn't this warlock blasting me with his evil spells in the last part of the game? I don't know if they ever said anything like that in the game, but it's great because it explains something that literally happens in the game, and it makes Zelda's contribution to the fight strategically critical. Her striking Ganondorf with the arrows cuts off his magic. So it's all going to come down to a sword fight. Link and the Hero of Time get their epic bro code moment, and then the Hero of Time basically just says, "Yep, you've grown up. I have nothing more to teach you. You've got this," and nopes out, giving him some final words of comfort and how proud he is of him, like he's his own son. So again, in previous volumes, I've said that the Hero of Time has a very father-like role for Link, and Akira Himekawa bring that to the forefront, and they make it textual. He calls him, he tells him, "We're not blood, but you are like a son to me, and I'm proud of you like a son." And that's his final goodbye. So a big part of Link growing up is learning to be a man without his father figure there to back him up. So the spirit of the Hero of Time finally passes on. And look, we've still got like 200 pages left of sword fight to go. Here's a criticism. So one critical thing I noticed that I'm a little critical of is I thought they were a little over-reliant on models. You can kind of see it in Ganondorf because sometimes he looks a little stiff, like a toy, or like they're using a 3D model of him from the game and just posing it. In a lot of their other volumes, they're pretty good at, even if they use models, of obscuring it a bit. You can kind of hide the fact that you use models with your art in places. It just stuck out like a sore thumb for me in a few of these sequences. So now that his father figure has passed on, they let Link have an internal monologue, basically reflecting on his experience during this adventure. He has a really interesting thought. His thought is that he's always looked outward for his inspiration: a destiny to guide me, a duty to strengthen me, and dignity in battle. This version of the character has always been outwardly focused. I would say he was actually very much a shame-motivated character. He's motivated by his regrets. He's motivated by his mistakes. So his realization is he's been looking at something outside of himself. That's been good. The good thing he's been looking at is the sense of duty and destiny that he needs to fulfill. And his realization is, at this moment, he doesn't need that anymore. He doesn't need to be the hero as some sort of like rabbit he's chasing around. He is the hero, and so the answer is now in himself. It's not an external thing he needs his status or to chase. It's who he is, and who he in this moment, as he's having his big sword fight, he's exactly the man he needs to be. He's grown up, and he's having fun. He says, "I wish this moment could last forever. I feel truly alive." So again, if you go back to the first 6 volumes, this guy was just getting, the entire world was coming together to just beat this poor guy down some more. And finally, now that he's become a man, he's more alive and more happy than he's ever been in life or death combat. We've been desperately wanting him to have this moment, and he's finally getting it. Ganon knocks him down, and of course he's got to do the thing where he desperately scrabbles and gets himself back up. And Ganon has another megalomaniacal speech. "I'm immortal. The Triforce grants me immortality. You can't beat me. I'm the king of darkness. No one can defeat me." So Link's response is sort of deceptively simple. Again, because I perceive him as he's a simple man, and that's the point. He doesn't have a big philosophical argument with Ganondorf. His answer is, "I am the hero Link." That's just it. He says his name. So this ties in. I kind of paused here and thought that's his comeback, and I had to think about it for a while. So one cool thing about it is it's understated, and the other cool thing about it is it's building off this idea that once you've become a hero, it's not a status or it's not like a badge you wear. It's who you are in your soul. So for him, just saying "I am the hero Link" is all he needs to say. Now that he's become a man, now that he's become the person he needs to be, there's nothing else to say to a Ganondorf other than to beat him in the fight. So let me get my bookmark and we'll skip ahead a little bit. Of course, an epic samurai sequence. I think that was in the game. It might have been. So he cuts him down with a death stroke. Oh, and he gets to like also jump in the air and stab him in the chest. Okay, here's where I'll show my Wind Waker fanboyishness a little bit. This is pretty cool. Yeah, Twilight Princess is pretty cool, but nothing is ever going to beat goofy-looking cartoon Wind Waker Link burying his sword up to the hilt in a full-grown man's forehead. I'm sorry, nothing's ever going to top that. But this is an easy second place for all-time badass Ganondorf takeout. So after he takes him out in epic fashion, Link actually has kind of like a moment of questioning or a moment of doubt because they're trapped in a cycle. Ganondorf dies and comes back. A new hero has to be reborn and kill Ganondorf in an endless cycle. So Link wonders, is there any way to ever truly stop this? Should I even kill him? Is the only reason he keeps coming back is because I kill him? Link wonders, am I the evil one? To an evil person, does good look like evil? So what's kind of interesting about this is Link's been a simple man. He doesn't have a philosophical answer to Ganondorf's will to power philosophy. He just needs to do it because he needs to do it for the people he loves. And now Link is starting to doubt and question himself. And Ganondorf seems to read his mind and mocks him in the final moment. So Ganondorf's mockery is because I'm evil itself, and because human beings have ambition, and as long as human beings infest the world, I will be needed. Everyone longs for power. So as long as human beings are sinful, there's going to be a Ganondorf. He's like Mum Ra. You can't kill evil itself. You can defeat evil, but evil will come back sooner or later. So what's kind of interesting about this is there are a lot of franchises that have this problem. Star Wars has this problem. Zelda has this problem. If you ever defeat the evil once and for all, there are no more video games. There are no more movies. So evil has to keep coming back. What's kind of cool about this is acknowledging the cyclical aspect of it, but there's a reason for it. It's because of the evil of the human heart that creates a Ganondorf. And so it's not that Link and Zelda are in a futile battle. They're just in a necessary and never-ending battle. And Ganondorf dies standing on his feet like a badass. That's another Japanese cultural thing. I think there's some samurai who died standing up. So they nail him, and Midna's okay. She's back, and she has the most badass line in all girl character history. Well, say something, or has my beauty left you speechless? And all of the degenerates on DeviantArt despaired because they lost Imp Midna, and we get real Midna, and she's not a loli. She's actually legal. You degenerates. Take that. So this is kind of cool because Midna's transformation, her character arc is from a mischievous, pretty dark and almost sadistic character to a good woman, a woman who's redeemed. So of course she gets to transform from, just like Link transformed from a monstrous wolf back into a man, she gets to transform from kind of like a demonic looking imp into a real woman again, and they have to say goodbye. So in the video game, this feels like a pregnant goodbye. Like you've come to know this character from traveling with her, and then she says goodbye, and she severs the link between the two worlds, so it's a permanent goodbye, and you just feel it. They feel Akira Himekawa have given Link some final words. So I guess my criticism would be it's a little on the nose, but I still like it because it fits the theme. So in the video game, it's kind of understated. You just sort of feel it as a pregnant, sad moment. Link approaches her and says he doesn't want to say goodbye. He wants to go with her into the Shadow Realm. And so her response is to slap him like an idiot and then kiss him. So this fits with her whole arc. Her whole arc is being kind of a slightly sadistic, kind of impish, otherworldly creature who, she's sort of a queen in the bad way. She's a queen in a sort of commanding, domineering way. So she slaps him, right? Because that's something she does. But then she kisses him because she actually is a changed person, and she has you can tell she's in love with Link, and this is a hard goodbye for her. So when she kisses him, then she kind of pushes him away and says, "There's your reward," and then she closes off the door. But her final word is, "That kiss is from the true me." So she's changed. The old Midna was a domineering, very tsundere. The new Midna is a transformed person who doesn't carry that hate anymore. But she has to say goodbye because they're from two worlds. It's a Romeo and Juliet thing. It was never gonna work out. So they say their farewells, and she closes and she severs the link between the two worlds permanently. Everything they kind of clean up all the village. Everybody says their last little goodbye, and back at his home village, this is actually another kind of like interesting twist. So the nerdy guy, I forget the nerdy guy's name. He has a crush on Ilya, so he shows up to say hi, and we don't see Link come home yet, and everybody's waiting for him to come home. So they don't say that he doesn't go home. They just show him having one last journey and placing the Master Sword back in its hilt. Right, it's got a weight. The sword has to go back so it can be used by a hero another time. So we don't know that he doesn't go back and marry Ilya. We don't know if he journeys around for a while and goes somewhere else. You can imagine whatever ending you want for him, and him marrying whoever you want. Who he marries at the end actually isn't what's important. What's important is that he completed his mission and became a man and left a legacy for the next generation to continue that fight. That fight later. So just kind of like a quiet ending of him traveling alone into the wilderness. Very nice. So excellent series. None of my quibbles with it caused me to say, I have no hesitation in recommending this series. It's now a complete set, and that's it. The very first manga I ever reviewed for this channel, we finished it. Oh, sad little tears. I give this series overall a 9 out of 10. I think I maybe knocked down 1 point for maybe a little overuse of 3D models in places, but very artistically ambitious, very narratively ambitious, and it actually made me respect the video game Twilight Princess much more. I'm eager to go replay that now because I haven't replayed it since it first came out back, what was it, 2009 or whatever, or 2014 that game came out. So there you go. Great series. High recommend. You would even enjoy it without playing the video game. I'm Normal Marmaduke fan. I love you guys. Catch you later.